25-year-old Brian Brunette, who hasn't fought since he battled Rudy Fuentes on ESPN last Thanksgiving. This one had a bizarre beginning, but an exciting ending.
And now Brian Brunette. Now what is this? Oh my God. I don't know what that's all about. That's unbelievable. Why would the referee give him a standing 8 count on that? That's unbelievable.
30 seconds to go in round 1. Wow. Brunette wades in with a good right-left combination.
Boy, that's amazing.
That standing 8 count may have saved the Winters. Brunette started to tee off with a good right hand.
Good right by Fuentes. He's countering. Now, oh, he hurt there.
He's down, and Fuentes. A left and a right combination by Brunette. And this fight is over. Well, a good look at Brian Brunette, indeed, as he goes in maybe against one of the toughest opponents he's faced in the hammer, Ken Larson, with only 1 loss in 18 professional fights. Got off to a slow amateur career, but he's raring to go. And indeed, the biggest fight for both of these young fighters. They're set to go 10. Let's meet him with our ring announcer. Here is Stu Goldner.
Ladies and gentlemen, scheduled 10 rounds of welterweight boxing. Your referee, Mr. Stan Berg. Introducing in the red corner, weighing 147½ pounds, wearing white trunks with a green stripe, from St. Paul, Minnesota, with a record of 18-0, Brian Brunette. His opponent in the blue corner, weighing 149¾ pounds, wearing blue trunks with a gold stripe, from Beverly Shores, Indiana, with a record of 17-1, Ken the Hammer Larson.
Stan Berg will be the 3rd man in the ring tonight.
You like to 11-4. Let's have a nice clean fight, and I want you both to listen to me at all times. I tell you the big guy to clinch, I want you both to stop punching, take 1 step back. If you get knocked down, you must take an 8 count. The man scoring knocked down, go to the farthest corner, you stay there until I tell you to come out. I've hit below the belt, and the kidneys are behind the head, and above all, no holding and hitting. Is that clear to both of you? Yeah. Shake hands now, and good luck.
Well, I think you can see the anxious moments of both these fighters. Brian Brunette out of St. Paul, Minnesota. A 2-round knockout over Rudy Fuentes you saw on Thanksgiving Day. Last fight he had. But on April the 26th, the Hammer, Ken Larson, got a 3rd-round knockout over Pete Podgorski. That was his 4th straight knockout. He also has good knockout power with 10 knockouts in his 18 fights, and he comes out in a hurry.
Now, interestingly, Larson rushed at him, and, you know, the idea would be that Brian Brunette, who's usually a quick starter, would come out after Larson. Ken Larson may be knowing that he has a 6-month layoff. Brunette, he wants to go after him first.
Brunette had set 2 fights after that Thanksgiving Day that we saw him on ESPN, but both fights fell out due to problems with the Boxing Commission in Minnesota and a banned boxing law that they tried to pass in Minnesota that was never voted on. But he had his problems, but he's in here tonight in Maryville.
Little holding and hitting there by Ken Larson, but Brunette going to the body. He's a very good body puncher. Look for the left hook and the right to the body. He tries to unload right there.
Larson, a very interesting story. He, along with his brother Danny, run a restaurant in the Indiana Dunes State Park up at Beverly Shores.
Oh, good right by Brunette, Sam. Excuse me.
Brunette indeed throws that good right as he showed against Fuentes. That finally put him away on Thanksgiving Day. One of the things Larson said he wanted to do was indeed counter off of what he did, but it goes strictly against what you said.
Yeah.
He came right out after him here.
And he said he wanted to establish the left jab, Kenny Larson. So far, he hasn't done that. But, of course, it's still earlier in the 1st round. I think that right might have hurt Larson because he's now backing up.
Brunette at 26, Larson at 26. Both fighters right at the 5'10", 5'11" mark. The taller of the two is Larson by an inch.
There, the left hook by Brunette as he tries to bring it up, and he's got a good one.
Larson outside the ropes as Stan Berg will step in. You know, he followed that left hook with a pretty good right hand that sent Larson through the ropes there.
Kenny Larson not fighting at all the fight he said he was going to. He's been wild, he's been rushing in, and I don't think he wants to get in the slugfest with Brian Brunette. I really don't think that's in his best interest.
Brunette the aggressor here through round number 1 as Larson has tried to counter, but has been unable to do so. A great deal of effect here so far against Brunette. Undefeated in 18 fights.
Brian Brunette has thrown about 80% of his punches to the body here, and he just, I think, has hurt Larson to the body in this first round.
That, too, is in contrast that Larson, in his 4 knockouts, said that he did most of his damage to the body, including taking out Podgorski in Hammond, Indiana on April the 26th with a couple of good body shots. Little wrestling going on in the middle of the ring here in round number 1.
Brian Brunette doing a lot of work to the body, and that will pay dividends for him early.
So there's the end of round number 1 of a scheduled 10-rounder. You take a good look once again, and Brian Brunette will get his instructions from his older brother, Tommy. And the rules here in Indiana. Al, let's see what differences we have from New Jersey and Nevada.
It is a little different. 10-point must-scoring system. 2 judges, and the referee scores here in Indiana. There is a 3 knockdown rule in effect. Cannot be saved by the bell except last round. That's usual. After 3 rounds, if there's an unintentional butt that causes a cut to make the fight stop, then they would go to the scorecards.
So that's the way the rules will stack here in Maryville, Indiana tonight for Top Rank Boxing. Is another good look at Brian Brunette. Again, it's a family affair in that corner. Tommy Brunette right in front. That's his trainer, along with Bobby and Al are in there.
All yours, you're hurting him to the body. Every time you're hitting him, he's shaking. Every time you're hitting him.
And a good look at Ken Larson, the Hammer they called him, from Beverly Shores, Indiana. A late start in boxing after he dropped out of the wrestling program down at Purdue, where he graduated with a hotel and restaurant management degree. And he's run into another right hand by Brunette, and he's down, and he'll struggle to try to get to his feet in front of us. Stanberg at the 5. He's up at 9, but he was hurt indeed with that right hand by Brunette.
Brunette is hurting him to both the body and the head. This has turned into a brawl here in the early rounds. That is what Brian Brunette wants. And it's the body work that's really hurting Ken Larson right now. Boy, Larson doesn't have any legs. This fight may be over with soon.
Stanberg will be watching closely. If Larson doesn't start defending himself, this one could end here in round 2. A good contingent busing in from St. Paul, Minnesota. And now Stanberg said that's it. It's over in the second round. And Brian Brunette has pounded out his 19th victory and his 14th knockout here in Maryville.
I'm all right, yeah.
Stanley Berg stepped in, I think, at absolutely the right moment, because Ken Larson was in all kinds of trouble. Larson, I don't know if it was perceptible to our viewers, just nodded yes to Stanley Berg after he stopped the fight. Brian Brunette, facing a fighter who presumably would give him a better test, did what he did against Rudy Fuentes. He walked right in and took control.
Let's pick up the replay here. This is in round 2.
Right hand that really hurt Kenny Larson. Then the body shot. Now, he was pushed down a little bit, but I'll tell you what, he was hurting from the body shot that Brian Brunette hit him with. And at the end of the fight, where Stanley Berg stepped in, Brunette will hurt him with a left hook and that right to the body, then the left hook. And now he keeps digging to the body and varying his attack upstairs. And at this point, Kenny Larson looks for some shelter outside the ropes, but there isn't any. And there you saw him lean against the ropes. His legs were all but gone at this point. And Brunette, to his credit, was economical with his punches. He didn't go wild.
So an 8-hour and 23-minute car ride down here from St. Paul, Minnesota is beneficial of this man, Brian Brunette. And Stu Goldner has the official time with a TKO here in the second. Stu?
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by TKO at 55 seconds of the second round, Brian Brunette.
Well, there it is. It's Brian Brunette, who tries to continue to climb in the welterweight division. We'll be in the ring with Al Bernstein as we'll continue at Top Rank right after this.
Undefeated, and we don't get much work from you here on ESPN. Your fights seem to end rather quickly, Brian.
Well, you know, my coach and manager, they wanted me to work and come on, work on my boxing a little bit more. But, hey, Kenny Larson come out and picked the pace up, and, hey, I had to dig down. And it's too bad it started out like that way because I wanted to work on my boxing a little bit.
He really did. It was really, he was the one that came out and said, let's fight right from the get-go, which was a little bit surprising. So you were forced at a very quick pace. And let's take a look at that first knockdown, Brian, in round 2, the knockdown.
All right here, I'm just trying to pick my shots and put everything together.
You hit him with a good right hand there.
Right, because first round, you know, anything can happen. And I knew I hurt him with one of them straight right hands to the body, Al, and that's what we were working on.
Well, you mentioned the body, and of course, one of your strong suits is body punching, and boy, that aspect of your attack looked extremely good tonight, even in the short time.
Well, thank you. I believe over 10 rounds, my body punching is going to be nothing but to my advantage.
Okay, now, Larson presumably was going to be a little tougher test for you because he was going to box you more. He didn't do that, and you were able to hurt him right away. Are you anxious to get in there against a guy who will perhaps box you a little bit, and you, as you said, you wanted to work more?
Well, I can't say, you know, nobody ever looks forward to going 10 rounds.
Yeah, that's true.
It's nice to get the TV exposure and get to work in the ring, especially seeing I had a layoff like I did.
Right.
But when a guy comes on and forces the action like that, you just have to, you know, fire away.
Well, Brian, you did fire away. Congratulations.
Thank you, Alex. Excuse me, I'd like to say hi to everybody back in St. Paul, Minneapolis, and hey, we're a team.
All right, a lot of people watching in the Twin Cities, that's for sure. Let's go back to Sam at ringside.
Well, one of our 10-rounders has not gone the distance. A second-round knockout there by Brian Brunette. But coming up, it's Joey Ruiz, a 19-year-old lightweight against Ricky Kaiser, as we continue from Maryville.